a lot is being discussed and very justly as long as the police brutality in Sathankulam is concerned, and I have come to add my 2 cents. It took me some time to read. I was waiting for the right reports to come from the right newspapers. I did study some reports with regard to Sri Jayaraj and Sri Sir Benix. What happened as in the name of police brutality is real. At the same time, I saw this post on Pragati Guru's stories saying that you cannot compare this to George Floyd's case. There are two different things, right? So what happened with George Floyd is systematic. It is associated with a race. It's associated with the skin color. It is not just police brutality, but it is police brutality against a race. It is systemic, deep, inherent racism. What happened in Mr. Jayaraj and Mr. Benix's case, there are a couple of things that I read and I want to share with you. See, the entire world is dealing with the coronavirus. It's working with COVID-19 based lockdowns, and what are the rules and what are the regulations. As of now, Tamil Nadu is under lockdown, and they're still considering, they're wondering if they're going to be extending the lockdown post June 30th. The other thing is that as long as Sathankulam and that area is concerned, was Section 144 imposed. If Section 144 was imposed, if there was a rule and a regulation as to how long businesses and traders and shops are supposed to be open, and if somebody just kept their shop open for just 15 minutes beyond the curfew or the allowed time for traders to be open, has any media outlet, has the government laid out a list of punishments? Have they listed out fines saying that if you keep your shops open beyond curfew time, this is the fine that you will get? For the first time offense, this is the fine. Second time offense, this is the fine. Third time offense, this is the fine and maybe arrest. Have those laws and have those rules, I shouldn't say laws, have those rules been set down? No. None of us know what will happen if we break curfew. None of us know. Of course, Section 144 is clear as day. We know what the laws are. We know that you cannot break the code of Section 144 and the rules attached herewith. Even then, all of this is not taught to us in schools. Nobody tells us what Section 144 means, what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be dealing with this. The entire world, as of today, 2020, those who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s are dealing with a pandemic for the first time. Nobody knows how to deal with the pandemic. Of course, those who have gone through the Spanish flu and the world wars and everything else have some sort of an experience. But this time, a lot of people don't understand the seriousness of a pandemic. And even though if Mr. Jayaraj and Benix had kept their shop open for just about 15 minutes or even half an hour beyond the allowed time, what is the punishment that is written or even given or laid down for an offense like this? So is the justice system or the entire judicial system going to be watching and just leaving this punishment out in the open for the police to interpret whichever way they want? And that is the bigger question that we need to ask about. Police brutality is not new. Just a few minutes ago on Twitter, there's this post that I shared, and in that there are over 1,700 odd cases of custodial deaths registered every year. These are registered as custodial deaths in India. So you're looking at about 5 custodial deaths per day is what he spoke about. On Twitter, there is this girl called Shivangi who put out a huge thread about how girls in Odisha and Jharkhand are perennially scared of the police because girls as young as 11 and 10 and 12 are afraid of being sexually harassed, molested and raped by the police, especially tribal girls. The brutality against tribes, the brutality against Adivasi people has been going on for aeons. The rapes of Adivasi women, the rapes of forest dwellers, the rapes of oppressed castes have been happening for aeons and aeons and aeons. Just that these never find the light of day. The other thing that I found really strange is that in recent times, in recent history, right? Just like Amrita and Pranay's caste murder case in Telangana, there was a case in Tamil Nadu, Kausalya's case, Kausalya Udumalai Sankar's case. That was also a caste-based killing. It happened in broad daylight. The parents who asked or contracted this murder did not go to jail. They sent the murderers, that is the contract killers, to jail instead, saying that those who contracted this murders, they are innocent and they are not in this, and only the murderers need to go to jail. Again, they picked the weaker section of the society, and here you also need to see how caste comes into play in such crimes. So caste plays a huge role in all of this, and how somebody is treated in the police station, how somebody, and caste and money and power, all of this makes a difference in how you're treated in the police station and all of that. If you look at recent cases like in Kausalya Udumalai Sankar or Kasi Suji demo, or you're looking at the Kasi Suji demo is the guy who sexually harassed and blackmailed and extorted dozens of women, and I spoke about it in a YouTube video. The Pollachi sexual harassment case is also recent, very, very recent history. What happened to those guys who sexually harassed countless of girls and threatened to share videos? They were treated like VIPs and they were sent out. I'm sure they are on bail right now. Nobody even knows. There was this murder of this 9-year-old child, 9 or 8 or 10-year-old child, I'm not too sure. This child called Hasini. She lived in an apartment and she was raped and murdered by a guy called Dashwant. He went to jail. He escaped. The police gave chase. They couldn't catch him. He escaped. He went back home. He murdered his mother, and he's apparently now back in jail. How do you think he's getting treated? Today on Twitter, as I said, this girl called Shivangi had shared about how girls in Odisha and Jharkhand are perennially scared about dealing with the police, and how custodial deaths are a norm in so many places. In Baikula jail, there was this lady who was gang raped, very similar to the Nirbhaya gang rape by officials, and because inmates of the jail protested and rioted against that, they put out cases against all the inmates of the Baikula jails while the woman lay bleeding on the barracks. I'm going to be sharing her tweets on my story, on my feed a little later. So I heard that these police officers asked for money, asked for a phone from these two guys, and they refused to bribe. So basically these two policemen asked for a bribe in the name of a phone, and because these two men refused, they used this way of making sure that they took revenge on these guys. Now when you actually take two people and put them on remand, the magistrate is supposed to have allowed that remand under what clause, under what crime, and why were they forced and taken to jail as if they were terrorists, like as if they were colluding with the Al-Qaeda or something like that. They were kept overnight in jail and beaten for hours. And not only should you be asking the police who beat them to death literally in this case, but you must be looking at their superiors who allowed them. And based on Mr. Raj Mohan's post Instagram video in Tamil, I want you to go out and see it if you understand Tamil. He has detailed everything. These police officers, some have come out in the open, some have not come out in the open apparently. They have a history of such police brutality. Has anybody checked? Do we, as the citizens of this country, do we have the right to know about the history of our police officials and whether they have been a part of police brutality before? Can we, just like a public registry in the US, for example, where a pedophile is, you can find out, you can actually Google and see if there is a pedophile anywhere near you. There are rules that a pedophile is not supposed to be within a certain radius near a school. There are so many things like that. A child sexual offender is supposed to inform that. I also want to understand what is the violence that the family members of these police officers have also gone through. Are they also wife beaters? Are the women safe? That is the next question. Is his own family safe? Let's say that his family is safe. And if these are police officers, we know that government officials are supposed to get a certain salary. So whether they are government judges or, when I say judges or magistrates or police officers or anybody, they are all getting salaries from the exchequer, right? They are public servants, in which way they are supposed to be serving the public in all manners and forms. So this is when a police officer brings in a lot more products, if he brings in a lot more money into the family, won't the family actually ask where this money or all these new objects in this house are coming from? Aren't they going to hold them accountable for all of this? Won't the families hold these people accountable, or do they just think, yeah, we are getting some extra money, we are getting some extra shiny objects? So right now what we should be demanding is to see the history of these police officials. We as drivers, for example, let me give you the example of bus drivers. So if a bus driver has been involved in one too many road accidents or any such if he's been any sort of road traffic related offenses, he will have that on record. He can't go back to work. So why is it that police officials who beat people to death go back and just get transferred to another department? And now apparently the Tamil Nadu state government has offered about 20 lakhs for both Mr. Jayaraj and Benik. So is the cost of an entire human life in India 10 lakhs? Is that what we're supposed to be thinking of? And even now, I think I also have to ask this. All of us girls, we are constantly told that if you have faced molestation and sexual harassment and rape, go and report in the police station. How am I supposed to go and report in the police station if this is what is going to happen? There might be cases where they think it is probably safer to just shut up and not go to the police station. And let me also tell you, I gave my police complaint in writing against Mr. Vairamuthu. Do you think an FIR has been filed? No. It really does not matter, because what matters in Tamil Nadu is caste. What matters in Tamil Nadu is money, power and political power. So the most important thing that I'm going to be asking, we are also a couple of there's this follower called Smriti who sent me a petition that we could work on. And the other very, very important thing that I want to be requesting all of you is that don't forget this, and don't ever forget this. Our biggest problem as human beings of society, of civil society, is that we forget. We have forgotten Dashwant, we have forgotten the Pollachi sexual harassment case, and the Thoothukudi Sterlite murders. 13 people were shot at point blank range and they died. What happened to those police people? What happens to those families? Are people even going to be... Do you think any amount of money is going to be compensating in any form? 20 lakhs, is that what it costs? Even today, if you have to go to court, if you're somebody who's poor and does not know what the law is, can't speak English and are not educated, how many of us are really educated with regard to the law? Do we know how to exactly go and file a case in the police station? Do we know how to draft a complaint? Do we know if the police officer or the writer who's sitting in the police station is actually filing our complaint under the right sections of law? Do we know that we are not taken for granted? Because the way the complaint is drafted in a police station can actually make or break our case in the courts. This is exactly where a lot of us fail, because we don't have primary understanding of how the law works, how the system works. I'm begging you, please learn the law. I'm not asking you to become a lawyer, but learn the basics of the law. Just like how you learn how to change the tire of your car or your bike if it has had a flat. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't know that either. But this is very, very important. You Google and you find out if you have a headache, you have a persistent headache, you Google. But why don't you understand? Why don't we all learn what is the procedure that we must hold our police officers accountable for? Demand to know, demand to ask for the history of every police officer in the public domain. Demand to know what sort of crimes that they have been involved in. Demand for this to be in public domain. You have the right as a human being, and do not ever in any place or form or manner celebrate police brutality. Point blank killing, encounter killing, all of this is extrajudicial. This is not supposed to happen the way it is. So I'm requesting you, I just wanted to make sure that I said everything, but no matter how educated you are or whatever else, unless and until you have the money to spend in courts and cases and everything else today. In the Madras High Court, if you have to actually file a case, you need a minimum of 3 to 4 lakhs to pay the court fees. Thereafter, you have to make sure that your lawyer is super and brilliant. He speaks fantastic English and he's able to win your case for you. You're looking at several lakhs of money. And then come the question of bribing inside the system, bribing this guy, bribing that guy, and there are so many people who say I will not bribe, and when you refuse to bribe, your case is going to continue to run for the next 15 years, 20 years. So if you see the number of things that need to change in this country, right from the judicial reforms to the police reforms, and to make all of this literally a thing of the past, is this is a democratic country, and when you are a democracy, you